Super Bowl, man. You know, at this point, I think that being so close last year, obviously we know how that game ended, and we've heard about it all off season, obviously. But just being able to win a Super Bowl, and it's not often that you be able to play on teams like this. I mean, you look at offensively the guys that we have, defensively the guys that we have. You'd be foolish not to want to be a part of it, man. And they wanted me back, and it just was a no-brainer for me, man. And obviously, it'll be no better story than winning the Super Bowl this year. I think that's everybody's expectation this year.
Even before you got here last year, they had come close a couple times and came up short. How much did you feel right away when you got here that this is a team that is really urgent to push through this?
Right. You know, just coming here, when I came, man, I was at home. I was a little league coach a little bit, man. I was training my son. So from the time I walked in the building, it just was a no-brainer that you can feel that energy here. And from day one, you just step on a practice field, you see, man, this is a championship football team. You know, obviously, can't say that I've played on a lot of championship football teams in my career, man, but I've had some success. You know, obviously in Jacksonville, we was a championship football team, man, and you know what it feels like being around long as I have. And from day one, it was a championship football team. Once we caught our groove, we was rolling, and we played championship football, man. Won 12 straight. Obviously, we couldn't close the deal, but that's why we're here now, man. New season, new opportunities.
It seems like defense is always a little bit ahead of the offense in the early part of training camp anyway, but it seems like maybe this year it's been a little bit more pronounced. Do you feel pretty good about the way you guys are covering fast plays and getting your hands on footballs?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, you know, it's huge. The confidence that you see in these guys play with, obviously, man. Some of these young guys, man, Demo, I don't think get talked about enough. From his stretch at the end of last season, man, the confidence that he's playing with now. Maybe it's the number that he's wearing, number 2. I don't know, man. He playing different, obviously, man. I've always respected his game, but, man, he's taking his game to another level. Guys like Womack. We got guys out there, obviously, we know what Moody Ward is capable of doing. But young guys are stepping up, and, you know, in the secondary, and we've been able to be contested these plays. You know, these are some good receivers we're going against. B.A. I mean, B.A. is a dog, man. Devo, obviously, we know. So for us to be able to be competitive with those guys, it's only going to help those guys get better, and they're competitive out there, man. I mean, you're going against those guys day in, day out. When the game comes, then you're not going to see too many duos like B.A. and Devo week in and week out. But, man, can't stress enough how good those guys, man, and the confidence. You got to be confident playing DB in the National Football League, and those guys are confident.
Tashaun, do you, it's a younger room this year than last year. Do you feel the need to be more of a vocal leader than you were when you first got here?
Absolutely. I think that, you know, finding a role. Last year I came here, man, we had guys like JV, E-Man, Jimmy Ward, you know, those guys, man. I just played my role. Obviously, man, let those guys do what they, you know, you have guys like Jimmy who've been here for a long time, was well respected, a captain. I didn't need to be that vocal leader because, man, it was covered. You know, I just did my part, did my 111th, obviously. So, obviously, I don't try to do too much. That's just never been my game. But being a vocal leader for these young guys is huge for these guys, man, because when I was coming in, I think that leading by example is one thing, but obviously, man, you got to be able to tell these guys and coach these guys up. And that's my job. That's my job to coach these guys up, man, especially young guys like Tig. I mean, Jair, he got to earn the name Tig. So, like Jair and those guys like that. Coach them up, man, and things like that. So, you know, hearing me be more vocal, man, is beneficial for those guys, man. Obviously, I know those guys look up to guys like myself and things like that, man. And it's just a blessing to be able to coach those guys up, and they give me their ear to listen, man. And obviously, they want to get better, and I'm here to help them get better.
Huff was telling us that he tends to be vocal and more animated on the field, but not so much off the field. But he needs to kind of step that up a little bit. Do you see that in him?
Man, obviously, I think that Huff is who he is, man. His energy is just so different. And Huff is young, man. You got to think some of our rookies are still older than Huff. So it's Huff having grasped, man. You know, he's still a young kid, obviously, but you hear him on the field, obviously. I think that nobody knows the defense better than Huff, except for Fred, maybe. So obviously, on the field, it just comes natural. He's that guy back there, man. You hear him sometimes more than Fred each and every play. Huff kind of gets everybody lined up, man. Smart guy. From day one since last year, he's been kind of like that vocal guy on the field. His personality is a real laid-back guy, and outside of the building, that's just who he is. Some people come around, man, but eventually he will, man. But right now, he's a leader, man. Obviously, his play speak for itself, so he's a leader in himself, man. We understand that Huff is going to practice hard. Huff is going to play hard. He's one of the best safeties in the league, man. In my opinion, it's not many safeties that can do what he can do. It's not no safety in my opinion who can do what he can do, man. Huff is just He's that guy. So obviously he continued to lead by example, and on the field he is that vocal guy, and that's what matters right now. You know, and obviously everything else is gonna come with it for sure.
Steve Wilkes told us yesterday that he showed you that play from the Miami game last year, the 75-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
What was the context of that? I mean, was that before training camp, and was he trying to kind of show you guys that, you know, you're not invincible, that there were some plays last year that...
You know, just communication and things like that, how you got to communicate on plays like that. Lack of communication can lead to those type of plays. Hurt a couple of feelings in there, obviously. Every time that play come up, man, I try to go to the bathroom. I don't want to see it. But, you know, obviously, it was just more of a communication kind of deal, where it's like, hey, man, you got to communicate. If you can't communicate out here, man, things like this can happen in the National Football League. Those guys are good football players just like we are, man. Just a lack of communication. Lack of communication can sometimes lead to explosive plays, and explosive plays can get you beat in this league. So obviously, man, he want guys to be more vocal and communicating back there, man, and things like that, so you can avoid those type of mistakes.
Today, Warner, I think, began practice by screaming at McCaffrey and then screaming at Kittle, and I mean, but that's just another day of practice for him.
Yeah.
But have you had another teammate like that as far as his approach to practice?
Man, I would say Fred's energy and things like that, I haven't been around many guys like that in my life. And I've played a lot of football, man, a lot of football, man. I haven't seen many guys with that type of energy day in and day out. Fred don't seem to have any low days. Truly, I can say now I played with some good football players, man. I think Fred is probably one of the best, if not the best football player I've ever played with, man. And that's saying a lot. Just the energy, the way he practiced, the way he approached the game. You see it from afar, man. I didn't really respect it. I knew he was a great player, man, but seeing it up close in person, man, you gotta respect his greatness. So, you know, that energy right there is contagious, man. Fred gets going, man. If Fred going, man, from play one, man, we rocking. You know, that's our leader, that's our vocal leader, that's our emotional leader. So, you know, obviously having a guy like that on the practice field, it's very beneficial, man. It gets the juices going, man. Obviously, an old guy like me, I need that sometimes, man. Get me going a little bit.
All right, thanks, Hill.
I appreciate it.